How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are great. I am Dorkraru and I am back with another daily analysis, starting off with the Forex analysis. Okay, and on this one, we will start off with Euro CHF. I found a sell limit opportunity on this pair and I will tell you exactly why. Okay, so as always, we have a series of confluences. First of all, the first thing I saw on this pair was a very aggressive break of structure to the downside. We can see price impulsively broke structure here and also left imbalance behind. This is what we want to see, a aggressive break of structure, imbalance being left behind. We can see we have a very nice fair value gap here that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. Okay, our fire zone is the area around the 71 and 79% levels on the fib, and now in order for us to look for an entry, we have two options. Option A is to wait for price to have a corrective pullback, because again, if we don't have a corrective pullback, we won't consider taking the setup. And after that, we can place two limit orders on the 71, 79, stop loss at the 100%, and then as targets, target 1 would be 0.8R, target 2 would be 2R, and the last target would be the 0% level on the fib. And then option B would be once price reaches the fire zone, you could scale down on the M15 and look for a church entry over there. Personally, I just like to stick to the higher time frames because it's less time consuming, and overall the returns will be very, very similar. Okay, and lastly, let's quickly enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator as well to see what confluences it gave us, and we can see that it gave us some really good confluences. Why? Because on the graph we can see that every single time frame is bearish. Okay, and this order block, this Tradedorks order block lines up with our area of interest. Okay, so we have some great confluences with the Tradedorks SMC indicator as well. And now we can move on to the next pair, which is NZD USD. Okay, we can quickly maximize, and on this one we have a nice bullish range. I saw a pretty impulsive break of structure to the upside right here, and zooming out, I think price could start to see some upside towards this area here. That's what I currently see on this pair, and that's exactly why I picked this bullish range. Okay, aggressive break of structure, imbalance has been left behind. We have this unmitigated order block that's lining up perfectly with our fire zone. Now again, we want to see a corrective pullback. I cannot stress this enough. A corrective pullback is always needed, okay, in order for us to then consider entering this setup. And then if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we can see that the daily is bullish, which is a pretty good confluence if our higher time frame is bullish. Okay, because then we can say that, okay, on the 4-hour we are trading with the daily bias in mind. Okay, and that's exactly why I considered this bullish range right here. Okay, and let me know if there's any questions. Okay, let me know if there's any questions. I'll make sure to check it out. All right, next up we have AUD USD. Okay, on this pair we have a nice bearish range. Okay, we can see last week we swept liquidity very beautifully here, and immediately after that we broke structure very aggressively to the downside, leaving a very nice fair value gap behind. That lines up pretty much perfectly with our area of interest, where we would like to look for some entries. And we also have some corrective pullbacks here, okay, towards our fire zone, which is great. Okay, so this setup overall looks pretty nice. If we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we can see that it kind of lines up with our setup. Pretty much all the time frames are bearish, and the Tradedorks order block pretty much lines up with our area of interest as well. Okay, so you can see that we have a lot of confluences in order to consider taking this setup. Next up, we have AUD CHF, pretty similar to AUD USD, I would say, although we didn't really have any pullbacks yet. Okay, price has just played around this area here for quite some time. We had a very impulsive break of structure to the downside, and now I am expecting price to retrace towards our fire zone, if of course it will happen, because price could definitely just head lower from here, and if that's the case, then we will just disconsider this setup. But till then, we still have it valid. Okay, we want to see a corrective pullback towards our fire zone. We can see that we have this unmitigated order block that lines up perfectly with our area of interest. Okay, so now we want to wait for that corrective pullback and see if it will occur. Okay, if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we have a perfect confluence. We have the Tradedorks order block that's lining up perfectly with our point of interest, and then the graph also look very, very good for us, okay, in order to take this setup. All right, so that's exactly why we considered this odd CHF sell limit opportunity. Next up, we have GBP CAD. And of course, the pairs that I'm going through are filtered because I went through all the 25, I think, currency pairs before starting this session, just to filter them out and see the ones that I can actually see something on, because there would have been no point for us to go through all of them. It would have took way too much time. So that's why I'm filtering them before. Here on GBP CAD, we have a very nice bullish range. Okay, we can see that GBP CAD broke higher right here with a very impulsive move to the upside that also left a very nice fair value gap behind that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. And we also had a pretty corrective pullback towards our fire zone, which is pretty good. It is pretty good to see that we have a pretty corrective pullback. And now we want to see price approaching our fire zone. Okay, that's what we want to see, because pretty much every single step was respected. All right, and then in terms of the Tradedorks SMC indicator, on this one I didn't really had much confidence, but I took the trade regardless based on market structure. All right, so that's that for this pair. We can move on to the next one, which is Euro CAD, and on this one we have a nice sell limit opportunity. Okay, we also have a liquidity sweep here before price decided to head lower. Okay, we can see price went lower with this pretty aggressive push to the downside that broke structure here, and it also left a very nice fair value gap behind, and also this unmitigated order block that line up perfectly with our area of interest. Okay, now we want to see a corrective pullback towards our fire zone in order for us to pull the trigger. Okay, and lastly, we can track the Tradedorks SMC indicator, and we can see that the daily is bearish, which again is pretty important for us to consider this setup. And yeah, that's about it for this pair, keeping it super simple and super straight to the point. No need to be confused or have a hard time in knowing which setup we should trade and which one we shouldn't. Okay, we have a strict set of rules that we stick to every single day, and we keep it simple. And we of course apply proper risk management, because we all know how important risk management is. And lastly, USD/CHF presented us a sell limit opportunity. Okay, we had a nice liquidity sweep here, followed by a pretty aggressive break of structure to the downside. We also have this beautiful fair value gap that lines up perfectly with our fire zone, and we also have inducement. By inducement, I mean that we have these highs here where people might sell from, and price might legit stop them out, grab liquidity, tap our fire zone, and then head lower, which would be the ideal scenario for us. But till then, we have to wait for a nice corrective pullback towards our fire zone in order to again pull the trigger. And if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we have some pretty good confluences. We have this Tradedorks order block that lines up perfectly with our area of interest, and then we can see that the 4-hour is also bearish on the graph. All right. Yeah, that being said, this pretty much ends this Forex analysis, today's Forex analysis. If there's any questions, make sure to let us know in the Discord. Okay. And now I will go over today's metals analysis, starting off with gold. Okay, so since last week, we discussed that this zone here was a very important daily demand level on gold, and we wanted to see how price is reacting to it. And to be fair, it went pretty deep into it, but it found some very nice bullish momentum here that we can see pushed gold pretty high. Okay, and now what I want to see is I want to either see this zone here being broken, and then I would possibly look for some buy scenarios. Okay, I would possibly look for some buy scenarios from here to take price higher, or if this zone has some strength in it, I want to see a break of structure lower. I want to see a clear, aggressive break of structure here that leaves imbalance behind, and then I might take some sales from there to take price lower. Okay, these are the two options I would look for. But for now, the best thing we could do regarding gold is to wait. Okay, that's the best thing we could do for now. Just wait and see a proper setup forming, because right now we don't really have any. Okay, so I will exit the chart, I will save it, and I will move on to silver. Okay, we can quickly discuss about silver. And on this one, I see a possible setup. Okay, so again, this was a daily demand level that we discussed since last week. And we can see that silver had a very nice reaction to it. Okay, it rejected from it straight away. All right, so this tells me that, okay, we might see some potential moves to the upside in the near future on this metal. Okay, and that's exactly why I looked for this bullish range, because it respected all the parameters. It has a aggressive break of structure right here. Okay, very aggressive, very beautiful. That also left a lot of imbalance behind. We have this unmitigated order block here that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. Now all there's left is for us to look for a corrective pullback towards our fire zone in order to pull the trigger and take this setup. Okay, and we can see that we have a lot of imbalance to be filled up here, which is again another great confluence. And if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we again have a great confluence with this Tradedorks order block that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. And also the graph looks pretty nice. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much the silver analysis as well. And this is where we will end today's metals analysis. Okay, so yeah, again, if there's any questions, make sure to let us know in the Discord. And now I will jump on today's indices analysis. Okay, starting off with US30. On US30, I didn't really spot anything interesting today because we had this daily demand level and I wanted to see how price reacts to it. And to be fair, it reacted pretty impulsively. And now I want to see if this level here will hold and will give us a nice push to the downside that we can then look for and possibly trade. Or if it breaks higher, we can then look for a potential buy limit opportunity. Okay, that's what I'm currently seeing on US30 for the moment. So yeah, right now it's just a game of waiting, really. There's no point for us to force anything on this pair. So we can just move on to the next one, which is SPX 500. On this one though, I found a pretty nice buy limit opportunity, mainly because we had a very nice rejection on this daily demand level here. Okay, price then went higher and broke structure pretty aggressively. And if we look closely on this range, we also have a very nice unmitigated order block that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. Okay, so it pretty much ticks all the boxes. Now, all that's left is for us to see a corrective pullback towards the fire zone in order to pull the trigger. And if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we can see that we have a lot of confluences with it as well. We have the graph that is mainly bullish, and then we have the Tradedorks order block that's lining up perfectly with our fire zone. Okay, so all these combined tells us that, okay, this bullish range right here is valid for us to take. Okay, and yeah, that's exactly why we consider this this bullish range here on SPX. And we can now move on to the next pair, which is NAS100. And here again, we have a potential setup. We have a potential setup here again. Nice, broke up pretty aggressively and pretty nicely to the upside, leaving some nice unmitigated order blocks behind. And we could expect price to correctively pull back in order for us to pull the trigger and buy from our fire zone. Okay, if we enable the Tradedorks indicator, again, we have a very nice confluence with the Tradedorks order block, as well as the graph, which is mainly bullish. Okay, so again, pretty beautiful confluences in order for us to consider taking this setup. All right, and yeah, that being said, this ends today's indices analysis. If there's any questions, make sure to let us know in the Discord. All right. And lastly, we will go over today's crypto analysis, starting off with Bitcoin. So on Bitcoin, I didn't really see anything today. I know that I have this daily supply level here that's very important, the 30K, 29 to 30K level, which is super important to Bitcoin. But here, the price just started to consolidate a bit. Okay, so what I want to see here is either a very aggressive push that would break structure here and leave some nice imbalance behind, and then we could enter some buys on the pullback to take price higher, or we could see a very nice break of structure to the downside that leaves some imbalance behind, and then we could look for some sales here to take price lower. Okay, this would be the two possible scenarios I would look for on Bitcoin. But again, for now, I don't see anything, so why should we force things, right? We can just keep it super simple, stick to our plan, and move on to the next pair if we don't see something on a specific pair. Okay, and on Ethereum, we see a very nice sell limit opportunity. We have a very nice liquidity sweep here, followed by a aggressive break of structure to the downside that also left some very nice imbalance behind. This unmitigated order block lines up perfectly with our fire zone, and now all we have to wait for is a corrective pullback in order for us to pull the trigger. Okay, and if we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator, we can see that we have some great confluences with it. The graph is overall bearish, and the Tradedorks order block lines up perfectly with our fire zone. Okay, so this is a very good looking setup. And now we can move on to Dogecoin. Okay, this one looks pretty similar to Ethereum, I'm not gonna lie. All right, we can see that we have a liquidity sweep here, followed by a very nice and aggressive break of structure to the downside that took out so many lows. Okay, took out this low here, took out this low here. Okay, so safe to say that this move was very, very impulsive. Okay, and guess what? It left a very nice unmitigated order block behind that lines up perfectly with our fire zone. If we enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator again, we have the Tradedorks order block lining up perfectly, as well as the Tradedorks graph. Okay, now all that's left for us to pull the trigger is to wait for a nice pullback, for a nice corrective pullback towards our fire zone in order to take some sales from there. All right, so yeah, that's that for Doge. We can now move on to XRP. And on XRP, I didn't really see anything, okay, because we can see we have a lot of wicks, a lot of choppiness. I don't really see anything clear right now. Okay, I don't really see anything clear. We can also check the daily to see how the daily looks like. Again, we are pretty much in a daily range, I would say. Check this out in this box here. So I would either wait for price to break higher or lower, okay, out of this daily box. But till then, we'll just wait, because on the 4 hour, as we can see here, there's no clear structure for us to currently trade. Okay, so if that's the case, we just keep it simple. We'll leave the chart as is, and we move on to the next pair. And the last pair, the last cryptocurrency, is Solana. Okay, so on Solana, I saw a very nice liquidity sweep here, followed by an aggressive break of structure to the downside that left this unmitigated order block behind that lines up perfectly with our area of interest. Okay, this again looks pretty similar to Ethereum and to Doge. Okay, so now we can also enable the Tradedorks SMC indicator. All right, we can see that it is lining up perfectly with our fire zone, the Tradedorks order block, as well as the Tradedorks graph. Okay, so again, very nice confluences from the Tradedorks indicator as well. And now, again, all there's left for us to see is a corrective pullback towards our fire zone in order to pull the trigger. Okay, so yeah, that being said, this ends today's analysis. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And as always, make sure to let us know in the Discord if there's any questions, and I will see you on the dork side. Take care.